Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new and packed edition of U.S. Election Special Broadcast. I'm Susan Tehrani. Today we'll provide you with a comprehensive analysis of the Trump-Biden showdown in Cleveland, Ohio. But first, a look at the headlines.
President Trump and Democratic nominee Joe Biden trade barbs and personal insults during the first presidential debate. Hours later, Trump asserted in a tweet that he faced a two-on-one debate against both Biden and the moderator Chris Wallace, while Biden tweets a video that portrayed Trump as a crying baby. Hours after the first brutal presidential debate, the former Vice President Joe Biden's oldest granddaughter has expressed her anger over Donald Trump on Twitter. Naomi Biden says that she wouldn't survive 5 minutes on that stage without slapping Trump across the face. Trump and Biden have returned to campaign trail after wrapping up the chaotic first debate. Biden plans to launch a train tour through the battleground states of Ohio and Pennsylvania, while Trump is heading to Minnesota, a state he narrowly lost 4 years ago. Former FBI Director James Comey faces questioning from the Republican-led Senate Judiciary Committee. The questions are based on the Bureau's investigation into ties between the 2016 Trump campaign and Russia. Comey is the latest high-profile former official from the FBI or Justice Department to testify in an investigation. A federal appeals court has upheld a 6-day extension for counting absentee ballots in Wisconsin's presidential election. The decision, if it stands, means that ballots postmarked on or before November the 3rd will be counted by the 9th of November. That could mean the winner in Wisconsin won't be known for days after the polls close. A Marine Corps F-35 fighter jet crashed in Imperial County, California after clipping the wing of a Marine KC-130 refueling tanker during a mid-air refueling. The F-35 pilot was able to eject safely, and the KC-130 was able to carry out a safe emergency landing. The pilot is now being treated for his injuries.
U.S. President Donald Trump and Democratic contender Joe Biden held a socially distanced face-off in the first U.S. presidential debate of 2020 in Cleveland, Ohio. However, the event soon morphed into an ugly brawl, with each candidate expressing their contempt against the other. What was supposed to be an event that would sway the undecided voter here in the United States turned into a shouting match with interruptions and name-calling. How this debate will impact the presidential elections is an open question. We bring you our takeaway from the debate in Cleveland, Ohio.
The first presidential debate was expected to be a brutal face-off between U.S. President Donald Trump and Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden. And so it was. Debate moderator Chris Wallace gave a fair chance and posed equally difficult questions to both the candidates. Sparks were flying and the debate turned chaotic as Trump attempted to cut Biden off at every opportunity he got.
Will you shut up, man? Listen, who is on your list, Joe? Who's on your list?
Right. Gentlemen, I think
this
we've
is
ended
so
this.
unprecedented.
We have ended this segment.
The two candidates took jibes at each other and launched personal attacks.
And by the way, what's that?
Two, with Biden calling Trump Putin's puppy, liar, racist, and the worst American president.
You're the worst president America has ever had.
Hey,
Come
Joe,
on.
Trump responded by dragging Joe Biden's son Hunter in the debate without mentioning his name. Trump bulldozed his way through the 90-minute debate and managed to get under Biden's skin. The two candidates skipped the customary handshake to adhere to social distancing guidelines at the event. Segment 1 was the Supreme Court row. Trump and Biden debated the issue of nomination of Justice Amy Coney Barrett to replace late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
We have a phenomenal nominee, respected by all. Some of her biggest endorsers are very liberal people from Notre Dame and other places. So I think she's going to be fantastic.
The American people have a right to have a say in who the Supreme Court nominee is. And that say occurs when they vote for United States senators and when they vote for the President of the United States. They're not going to get that chance now because we're in the middle of an election already. Open discussion.
The debate got derailed from the assigned issue in the first 5 minutes. The debate shifted to Obamacare, a medical policy that Trump criticizes, but Biden wants to retain. The debate never came back to the issue at hand.
And the justice, and I have nothing, I'm not opposed to the justice. She seems like a very fine person. But she's written before she went on the bench, which is her right, that she thinks that the Affordable Care Act is not constitutional. And there's 100 million people who have pre-existing conditions, and they'll be taken away as well.
The 100 million people is totally wrong. I don't know where you got that number. The bigger problem that you have is that you're going to extinguish 180 million people with their private health care, that they're very happy with.
Segment 2. The coronavirus pandemic presented Joe Biden with an opportunity to take on Trump on the basis of facts and figures. The Democratic presidential nominee grilled Trump with some of the best punchlines. Yet again, Trump blamed it all on China.
200,000 dead. When he was presented with that number, he said, it is what it is. Well, it is what it is because you are who you are. That's why it is. The president has no plan. You should get out of your bunker and get out of the sand trap and get in your golf course and go in the Oval Office and bring together the Democrats and Republicans and fund what needs to be done now to save lives.
It's China's fault. It should have never happened. They stopped it from going in, but it was China's fault.
The tanking of the U.S. economy in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic dominated much of the debate. Two candidates highlighted their differing plans to revitalize the economy. The debate quickly became a duel as Trump attacked Joe Biden's son, Hunter.
My son did nothing wrong at Burisma.
I think he did.
Your first year.
Wallace brought the controversial New York Times report on Trump's taxes to the table, one that Trump must have been anticipating and prepared for.
Mr. President, I'm asking you a question. Will you tell us how much you paid in federal income taxes in 2016 and 2017?
Millions of dollars.
You paid millions of dollars?
Millions of dollars.
So
yes.
not 750.
Millions of dollars, and you'll get to see it. And you'll get to see it. But let me just tell you, Chris, let me just tell you something, that it was the tax laws. I don't want to pay tax. Before I came here, I was a private developer. I was a private business people. Like every other private person, unless they're stupid, they go through the laws, and that's what it is.
Yeah, I do want to respond. Look, the tax code that made him, put him in a position that he pays less tax than a school teacher makes, on the money a school teacher makes, is because of him he says he's smart because he can take advantage of the tax code. And he does take advantage of the tax code.
I hate to raise my voice, but
The next segment dealt with racial unrest that gripped the United States in the past few months. Trump and Biden made pitches to win over black voters in the election ahead. As Trump pointed out the number of black lives lost during the pandemic, Trump interrupted and turned the debate to a crime bill passed in 1994, in which Biden had a significant role to play. When Wallace asked Trump if he condemned white supremacists, Trump said it was the left wing that created problems.
This is a president who has used everything as a dog whistle to try to generate racist hatred, racist division. This is a man who, in fact, you talk about helping African Americans. 1 in 1,000 African Americans has been killed because of the coronavirus. And if he doesn't do something quickly, by the end of the year, 1 in 500 will have been killed. 1 in 500 African Americans. This man is a savior of African Americans.
Did a crime bill, 1994, where you call them super predators, African Americans, the super predators, and they've never forgotten it. They've never forgotten it, Joe.
No, sir, it's his 2 minutes.
So you did that, and they call you super predator.
But are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups?
Sure. Proud Boys, stand back and stand by. But I'll tell you what, somebody's got to do something about Antifa and the left, because this is not a right-wing problem. This is a left-wing. This is a left-wing problem.
Rhetorical question.
Less informative and more confrontational, the first big battle was an exhausting experience for voters and seemingly for the moderator. Joe Biden occasionally looked into the camera lens and appealed directly to American voters. Who do voters think won the first big presidential debate? A CBS News poll says that 48% of poll watchers favor Biden, 41% favor Donald Trump, and 10% think it was a tie. 83% of the debate watchers feel the tone of the debate was negative, and 17% think it was positive. 69% of debate watchers felt annoyed, 31% felt entertained, 19% were pessimistic, and only 17% were informed.
If it's not me.
The US presidential election is a few weeks away, and the worst heat of battle has just begun. Will the first presidential debate affect the candidate's popularity? Will opinion poll charts show a different trend? We will be watching. US Election Desk, WION. World is one.
The debate deteriorated into bitter taunts and a near-chaotic Tuesday night. Angry interruptions and personal jabs overshadowed the main purpose of a presidential debate. Also, the 90-minute commercial-free crosstalk extravaganza did little to bring about bipartisan consensus. Our next report takes a look at the parameters of debating.
President, I'm the moderator of this debate.
The wrong guy, the wrong number.
You were a disaster. Your own chief of staff said you were. Don't ever use the word smart with me.
He's Putin's puppy. Let people know you're a senator. I'm not going to answer the question.
Why would you answer that
because
question?
The question is
radical left.
Will you shut up, man?
Listen, who is on your list, Joe? Who's on your list?
Right. Gentlemen, I think
this is so unprecedented.
He's going to pack the court.
We have ended this segment. We're going to move on to the second segment.
That was really a productive segment, wasn't it? Keep yapping, man. Look, hey, I'm not going to listen to him. The fact of the matter is, I beat Bernie Sanders.
Not by much.
I beat him a whole hell of a lot. I'm here standing facing you, buddy.
Pocahontas would have left 2 days early. You would have lost every primary.
All he knows how to do is
Super Tuesday. You got very lucky.
Here's the deal,
sir.
Chris,
you're
that was the
debating
worst
him,
part
not
of
me.
Obama.
Let me ask my question.
Well, I'll ask Joe. First of all, I guess I'm debating you, not him, but that's okay. I'm not surprised.
I'm not here to call out his lies. Everybody knows he's a liar.
But you
I just want to make sure.
Joe, you're the liar.
I want to make sure.
Graduated last in your class, not first in your class.
A lot of people died, and a lot more are going to die unless he gets a lot smarter, a lot quicker.
Mr. President?
Did you use the word smart? You graduated either the lowest or almost the lowest in your class. Don't ever use the word smart with me. Don't ever use that word.
Oh, give me a break.
Because you know what? There's nothing smart about you, Joe. I wear masks when needed. When needed, I wear masks.
Okay, let me ask.
I don't wear masks like him. Every time you see him, he's got a mask. He could be speaking 200 feet away from it. He shows up with the biggest mask I've ever seen.
And by the way, maybe you could inject some bleach in your arm, and that would take care of it. This is the same man.
That was said sarcastically, you know that. That was said sarcastically.
And so here's the deal. The fact is that I've gone head-to-head with Putin and made it clear to him we're not going to take any of his stuff. He's Putin's puppy. He still refuses to even say anything to Putin about the bounty on the heads of American soldiers. This is a president who has used everything as a dog whistle to try to generate racist hatred, racist division. He's the racist.
You just don't.
Here's the deal. I know a lot more about this than he does.
Let him finish.
Hunter got thrown out of the military. He was thrown out, dishonorably discharged.
That's not true. He wasn't dishonorably.
Cocaine use. He made a fortune.
My son.
And he didn't have a job.
My son, like a lot of people we know at home, had a drug problem. He's overtaken it. He's fixed it. He's worked on it. And I'm proud of him.
You get the final word, Mr.
Well, it's hard to get any word in with this clown. Excuse me.
Hey, let me just tell you, you were a senator.
You're the worst president America has ever had.
Hey,
Come
Joe,
on.
Republican and Democratic presidential candidates may be dominating the headlines and live debates. However, they're not the only ones running for the presidency of the United States. What are known as third-party candidates have played a significant role in recent presidential elections, and their names will be on the general ballot in 2020. Here's more.
In the contest for the White House, it is well known that President Donald Trump is running for re-election as a Republican, and running against him is former Vice President Joe Biden, a Democrat. What is less well known is that there are other people running for U.S. president on other party tickets.
The Peace and Freedom Party, the American Independent Party, people really often don't know who these parties are.
People running for smaller parties are called third-party candidates. In the 2020 presidential race, 2 candidates from better-known third parties include Joe Jorgensen of the Libertarian Party and Howie Hawkins of the Green Party. Another third-party candidate who has made headlines is rapper Kanye West.
The most puzzling campaign, but the one that's gathered the most attention for his party, the birthday party. He's often talked about religion openly in his raps, and so he might appeal to more religiously conservative voters.
While third-party candidates are generally not considered serious contenders for the presidency, they can play a role in changing the dynamics of an election. One example is the 2016 race between Trump and Democrat Hillary Clinton.
There's no question in 2016 that the third-party candidates hurt Hillary Clinton. All the exit polling showed that the votes that they were casting for third-party candidates were votes that otherwise would have gone to the Democrats.
2016 was a year in which there are a lot of Americans looking at Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton weren't thrilled with either choice, and they cast one of these protest votes.
But experts agree the 2020 election is different.
It's very clear now that the stakes are so high that either Joe Biden or Donald Trump will be the next president, and nobody wants to throw their vote away. And so we're seeing those third-party candidates polling at a lot lower numbers.
Clinton may have lost some votes to third-party candidates in 2016 because of how some Americans viewed her. But Biden does not face the same perception.
Hillary Clinton was seen as a darling of Wall Street and of high finance and these global trade deals that didn't give enough attention to the lives of working class people in blue-collar jobs across America. I think Joseph Biden is from a working class background, from Scranton, Pennsylvania, and I think he can connect with that demographic, even if he's associated with some of those trade deals.
The pandemic is also keeping third-party candidates from gaining traction in 2020 because it's tough for them to campaign in person. Third-party candidates also don't have the funds necessary to pay for big TV advertising campaigns.
The absence of third-party candidates that are strong this year should benefit the Democrats.
But as the outcome in 2016 proved, a presidential election can be quite unpredictable. Elizabeth Lee, VOA News.
The televised debate brought a series of claims and personal attacks in what often seemed like a rolling argument between the two men than an actual debate. Moderator Chris Wallace struggled to keep Donald Trump and Joe Biden from interrupting one another as they clashed over issues like tax returns, the coronavirus, and social justice. Donald Trump floated around some falsehoods, and Joe Biden, for his part, when given the opportunity and not interrupted, did the same. Here's more.
Obamacare is no good. We made it better, and I had a choice to make very early on. We took away the individual mandate. We guarantee pre-existing conditions.
An executive order signed by President Trump on September 24th does not guarantee affordable health care coverage. An actual congressional legislation is necessary to maintain the pre-existing conditions of the Affordable Care Act if Obamacare goes away.
He's been promising a health care plan since he got elected. He has none, like almost everything else he talks about. He does not have a plan.
The Trump administration has announced plans to distribute vaccines and aims to make the 2-dose vaccine free of cost. However, the administration did not have any plan to combat the pandemic, nor had any national testing plan.
So you said you went to Delaware State, but you forgot the name of your college. You didn't go to Delaware State.
The former vice president never said that he attended Delaware State. Biden had made a remark implying that he went to Delaware University because of the support he received from his school.
And the fact of the matter is, violent crime went down 17%, 15% in our administration.
All right.
It's gone up on his watch.
Overall, most homicides in the United States are intraracial, and the rates of white-on-white and black-on-black killings are similar, both long-term and in individual years.
As far as the ballots are concerned, it's a disaster. They're sending millions of ballots all over the country. There's fraud.
Only 9 states are automatically sending ballots to all registered voters, which is what Mr. Trump refers to as unsolicited. 5 of them have traditionally allowed voting by mail, and 4, along with the District of Columbia, have adopted the process in response to the coronavirus pandemic, and 6 states are doing neither.
As you know, today there was a big problem. In Philadelphia, they went in to watch. They're called poll watchers, a very safe, very nice thing. They were thrown out. They weren't allowed to watch. I'm cutting drug prices. I'm going with favored nations, which no president has the courage to do because you're going against Big Pharma. Drug prices will be coming down 80 or 90%.
Millions of Americans are facing the risk of being evicted from their homes due to the ongoing economic crisis. A historic number of Americans have already lost their jobs, and many have been forced to take pay cuts. The country's top health body, the CDC, recently issued a ban on evictions until the end of the year. However, for many Americans who've already been evicted and are facing homelessness, the decision is too little too late. Our next report takes a look at the eviction crisis facing many citizens here in the United States.
Chrissy Island is packing up the last of her belongings as she prepares for the inevitable. The young mother of 3 is about to be evicted from her home in Kansas City, Missouri.
It was so quick. It just happened really fast.
She was shocked, she says, at how quickly her life spun out of control.
I was working for a mom and pop flooring company that went under due to the COVID, and I had to immediately get a new job, causing me to take a $4.50 decrease in my pay, leaving me really short rent-wise, causing me to now be taken out of my home.
Island's 2 youngest daughters are staying with relatives as she tries to figure out her next move.
I miss the noise, just the noise of having the kids in the house, the noise of just family, it's undescribable, really. It's sad. It's sad.
Wilson Vance is with the housing advocacy group KC Tenants in Kansas City.
Chrissy is one of the thousands of tenants within Jackson County, Missouri, that has been evicted since our eviction moratorium expired May 31st. And so her story is exemplary of so many other people in Missouri, in Kansas City, around the country.
Experts say America is headed towards an eviction crisis. An estimated 30 to 40 million people are at risk of eviction in the next several months without swift and significant federal intervention, according to the Aspen Institute Financial Security Program. This represents a huge increase from the 3.6 million eviction cases filed in the U.S. each year before the pandemic struck. But a recent order by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has temporarily halted residential evictions to prevent the further spread of COVID-19, protections that have come too late for Island, who is one of millions whose supplemental federal unemployment benefits have also run out, leaving her with limited options. Vance says more needs to be done by lawmakers in Washington.
The idea that housing is a human right is becoming less and less radical. And it's our job as tenants who are impacted and as organizers across the country to make sure that we keep this momentum up and that we make sure our leaders actually are held accountable.
With the CDC eviction ban in place and no federal aid package on the immediate horizon, many property owners are also losing out.
We do have landlords that are very, very upset about this, the CDC's requirements, especially landlords that are dependent on rental income as their income. I feel that if the government doesn't step in and help the landlords, there's going to be a major housing crisis. It's going to be disastrous because the tenants will not have the money to pay back all this rent in January.
Let's get the last little bit of stuff.
Okay. Chrissy Island was evicted soon after talking to VOA. She's currently living in a motel as she tries to remain hopeful.
There will be an uphill incline eventually. I can only go so far down before it's got to go back up, right?
Julie Tabo, VOA News, Washington.
And that's all for this edition of U.S. Election Special Broadcast. Thank you so much for staying with us and watching. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Until then, goodbye.